Hello there. It's a Thursday morning. Lovely day, a little bright. Can't tell about the humidity yet. I've only just come out. I'm on my way to run a few errands, and I thought I would take the opportunity to do a little Q&A. It's been crazy busy around here for the last couple of weeks. And I thought I was going to have time to make a video last weekend, and that was just wishful thinking. So today's the first chance I've had, and I had to make this chance. I really should be taking the subway to handle these errands so I can get them done faster, but I figured I'd walk just to give myself the opportunity to do this Q&A. We're moving Saturday, which is why I'm so busy. We've got 2 more nights in our current place. And the closer we get to moving day, the more it seems we have to take care of. I thought we had gotten a nice early start on everything, but oh gosh, it's been so hectic. The first thing I got to do today, I've got some electronics in my backpack that I'm disposing of. The way it works in Seoul, all the neighborhood citizen centers, is what they call the administrative offices, tend to have a disposal point, electronics disposal point outside, a little box or something for small electronics, computers, blenders, tablets, whatever, charging cables, all that stuff. You can't dispose of it in the regular waste. You're not supposed to. Like there's this Surface tablet that's like 10 years old, 11 years old in my backpack right now that I forgot we had. I found an old iPod, the iPod Classic that I bought after iPods had already, gone out of fashion. When was it? It must have been 2013 or 2014. I thought I'd gotten rid of it a long time ago. So we've got a truck coming, of course, to move everything we're taking with us. Then we've got a truck coming to take all the junk we're throwing away. He could take the electronics stuff, but I don't know where it's going to end up if we give it to him. So I'm going to take it to the Citizen Center for proper disposal. And then we've got a few larger items that the junk guy can't take. He doesn't take big furniture pieces. So like we've got a bookcase, for example. That means that we need to get a piece of paper from the Citizen Center to stick on it so they can come pick it up. Got to pay a small fee for that. You just go in and say, hey, I've got a bookcase. It's about this big. They'll tell you how much. They'll give you a piece of paper and you stick it on the bookcase outside your house, and they'll come around and pick it up at some point. The first question is one I get asked fairly often. What kind of camera do I use? And do I use a mic? I use a DJI Osmo Action 4. It's an action camera model that came out in 2023. I bought it almost exactly 2 years ago. Go ahead and get a little footage of it. So this is what it looks like. This stick is a new one. I don't usually use this one. It's got a mount on it that's got 2 positions, this angled one and one that's completely vertical, straight up. The stick actually came with a new camera that I bought recently that I'm testing. It's a DJI Osmo 360, a 360-degree camera. I'm going to use that to supplement this one. Possibly even replace it because it does have a single lens mode that acts like an action camera. We'll see how it goes. As for my mic, I use a DJI Mic 2, and I just keep it on this little medallion. This is a medallion by another camera company, Insta360. They have a little camera that detaches from the body, little tiny thing, and you can mount it on this. This is what this medallion is for. It's to mount the camera here so you can film a POV view with that camera. But it works just as well for this mic, which has a little magnet on the back. And I just keep it tucked inside my shirt so that I don't need the wind muff, so I don't have this big thing sticking out on my shirt here. Not a big deal, but it feels more convenient this way. I'm always worried if I attach this with a magnet, you know, with the magnet inside and the mic on the outside, if I attach it that way, I'm always worried it's gonna fall off. And if I use a clip, then it always feels awkward to me. So this is much more comfortable for me. Most of the citizen centers, they have their collection box, electronics collection box outside, and it's an actual box. But here, it's just a pallet. And they've got this sign here that says, please only dispose of small items here. And these are things that people have already disposed of. So I'm gonna leave my stuff here. Gotta put the camera down. I need both hands for this. Question number 2. Have I considered doing videos outside of Seoul? Yes, I have. There are several places around the country I would like to do some videos. I would, in fact, like to do some long walks out in the countryside. There are places up north I want to go, places down south I want to go. I've had people request that I go to Suwon, or that I go to Busan, or that I go to Incheon, or several places in between. Time is the biggest blocker for me from doing this kind of thing. Some of the videos I want to make are going to require multiple days, but even a day trip is a lot. The amount of time it would take me to get out to, say, Incheon and back, film the video, and then get it edited, it's just too much. So I'm looking forward to the day when I can spend more time making videos than I do now. When I'm able to get there, then I'll start going out and filming things outside of Seoul. I'm gonna try to make time this fall. There's a walk I wanna do. I really wanna do it. So I'm gonna try to make time for that this fall. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I do want to make more videos outside of Seoul, and I will when I'm able to make the time for it. Question number 3. Do I have any other generic walking advice? And the context of this question is in an email about my video where I took you to the back streets of Gangnam. And in that video, I gave the advice of turning on transparency mode in your AirPods or whatever is equivalent in any other pods or headphones or whatever you may be using if you're walking the back streets, so that you can hear any cars coming up behind you. The first one is an obvious one, is get yourself a good pair of shoes if you're going to be walking a lot of steps every day. I have a specific brand that I like now, Vessi, not sponsored. I have no affiliate link where you can get a discount on anything. I just happen to love them. I bought these in August of last year. These are the low top Stormburst, I believe. And when I first bought them, I took them out to Yeobongsan for a hike. In fact, that's the video I filmed of the Yeobongsan hike last year. I was wearing these shoes in that video. It was the first time I wore them outdoors in that kind of environment. And the reason I bought these is because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of walking on my UK trip. And I wanted a pair of shoes that I could wear on the city streets, in the countryside, in the forests, in the marshes, in the rain, without worrying about, are they gonna get wet? Are they gonna stay dirty? These things, they're waterproof, they're easy to clean. You know, I found some shoe review sites who ding Vessis for not being as waterproof as they claim. I don't know what they're on about, because I have worn these shoes in heavy rain, and through marshland in the English countryside, and they have kept my feet dry the whole time. In the past, I had like different pairs of shoes for different situations, right? On a normal walking day, I just wore a pair of, sneakers, but they didn't do well in the rain. So I had a pair of Timberland shoes that I wore on rainy days. And then when I went hiking, I had a pair of hiking shoes. I still have all the shoes, but there was no way I was going to carry all those with me. And since I bought these, I have put who knows how many kilometers on them, how many steps. I just go crazy in them, and I've been wearing them almost every day since I bought them. So yeah, I highly recommend a pair of Vessies, particularly the Stormburst. If you're just walking, thousands of steps every day, very, very good for that. And they're comfortable, so comfortable. Oh gosh. But yeah, the cleaning is key, right? So I walk in the woods after rain, they get muddy. I come home, I take out the padding on the inside, throw them in the washing machine. They're good as new. And I just, set them on the rack to dry, and they dry relatively quickly. Another one, if you're walking lots of steps, you're going out walking for 2 or 3 hours to get those steps in, it helps sometimes to have music. I recommend that you experiment with different playlists, just pick some random songs you like, put them on a playlist, and see how well you walk to them. Because what I recommend here is not that you listen to music just to listen to music, but you listen to music that helps you walk. I found that with some songs, I can just instantly fall into a good rhythm. One in particular for me, may not be for you, If It Makes You Happy by Sheryl Crow. That one, as soon as that song starts, I'm right on the pace I need to be on. Other songs, I have to kind of work a little bit to find the pace. Like one song I thought, because of the heavy drum beats it has, I thought it would be very easy to fall into. It turned out not to be the case, was You Win Again by the Bee Gees. Something about those drum beats are a little off. It makes it difficult to match the pace. You have to work at it a little bit to find the right rhythm. So I kind of banished that from my walking playlist, even though I love the song. Underdog by Lisa Loeb. That's a pretty good one for me. Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. That one really helps me get a good pace going. What I like to do is get a mix of songs in a different order so that I'll have a quick pace for a couple of songs and then slow down a bit for a couple songs and then a quick pace for a couple songs. I like that. Sometimes I just put it on shuffle and go with the flow. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Get yourself some playlists and figure out which songs help you maintain a good pace. How did you live in Korea in the 90s? The context of this question was he has Netflix and, Prime Video and all these other things. He can have all the movies and the TV shows he wants. And they've got all the imported stuff these days. And he believes he wouldn't be able to make it without all that stuff. And he's wondering how I was able to get by without all that stuff in the 90s. And the short answer to that is I didn't know I was missing it. Before Netflix existed, the concept of Netflix just didn't exist in my head, right? I mean, I got here before the internet was even a thing, right? It wasn't until 95 that everybody started getting internet here. But I guess the thing is, I didn't really watch TV much back then. I was too interested in going out and participating in the nightlife in the evenings and going out and exploring on the weekends. And when I wanted to watch, American movies, Hollywood movies, British movies, whatever, I could go to a theater or rent videotapes off base at local video stores, or on base even. They had a video rental shop on base for those who were working there. So it was always easy to get that stuff. TV shows, we had what was then called the Armed Forces Korea Network, but later became just the Armed Forces Network. But yeah, they had a lot of shows from the States on there, you know, Friends and Seinfeld and whatever else. But again, I hardly ever watched any of that because I always had something going on. So I didn't bother with it. And I think it wasn't a thing for most of the people that I knew that I was hanging out with. We just didn't care. You know? As for goods, you know, snacks, food, yeah, I had access to the base, the Army base, for a long time, so it was easy for me to get that stuff. So anything I might have missed, like, you know, Reese's peanut butter cups, I had easy access to. The trouble started when I left the base, when I finally lost access in the late 90s. After that, I was living 100% on the economy, and then I lost access to a lot of stuff. But there were black market shops that I could go to. People would buy things on base, sell them on the black market, and they would end up in these little black market shops. Expensive, you know, pricier than I would have to pay for them on base, but still, you know, I had access to them. And then Costco came in. I'm not sure exactly when. It was early 2000s, I think. Yeah, it was never a big issue for me. The next question is also about getting by. This time, how do you get by in Seoul? It is so expensive. The person gave some examples, like how much money he paid for coffee. And I will say, if you're a tourist, then yeah, you're probably going to be paying more than you should be for things, just because you don't know where to go to get things cheaper. One of the things about living here, I don't have to go out and pay 5,000, 6,000 won for a cup of coffee, because I know where to go get a 2,000 won cup of coffee, right? And if you look around, you can find these budget coffee shops. They've got the signs up. But yeah, when you stay here for a period of time, more than a short trip, just through trial and error, you'll eventually find places where you can save money. You know, this restaurant is cheaper than that restaurant. This supermarket's cheaper than that supermarket. I can buy fruit cheaper here than at that place. You know, it's just a matter of finding your way around over time. I think generally, even in the days when I was a starving English teacher, I've never really felt that it was too expensive to live here. That said, we are seeing some economic issues right now, and there are spikes, just like there are all over the world these days. Inflation is hitting us everywhere. The real estate market has been out of control for a while now. Rental rates are going up. So yeah, it is becoming too expensive.
Freezing, boring, wondering where I'll be on my birthday. You kissed me in a dream last night. How could I wouldn't know, 'cause I am the underdog, I am the last in line. Don't be the enemy, don't stand in back of me. Will you be my friend? Now I understand that I'm more than like you, that I am the underdog.
The next question came in very recently and had a link to a discussion at Reddit, which I found a little bit surprising. Not that the link was there, but the discussion I found surprising. Does it bother me when Koreans speak to me using pamma, which is an informal kind of speaking? with Korea's hierarchical culture, social structure, you have a different form of speaking, different vocabulary or suffixes that you use when you're talking to people in a higher position than you are because of their age or because of their position in your company or whatever it is. So for example, when I say goodnight to my wife, I tell her "잘자," that's the informal way of saying it. But when I say goodnight to her mother, I have to say "잘 주무세요." That's the formal way of saying it because she's, in a higher position to me. Younger Koreans, when they speak to me because of my age, should be using that more formal form. But it's not uncommon for younger Koreans to use the informal form when speaking to older foreigners. Now, my wife does get upset about this because, she's Korean, it's part of her culture, and she just sees it as I'm older, they should be using the formal form with me. It doesn't bother me in the least. I don't care, But in this Reddit discussion I saw, there were several people who were saying they don't like it, it's rude, they're treating you differently because you're a foreigner and blah, 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 blah. That really surprised me. I don't know why anybody would get upset about that. I don't consider it rude at all. But the way I look at it is based on my experience. And I can never forget how many times Koreans have given me a pass on all the cultural faux pas that I have made over the years. There have been times when I unthinkingly poured a drink for an elder with one hand. Not supposed to do that. You're supposed to pour with two hands. And if I were Korean, I might well have been scolded for it, if not by the person I was pouring for, then somebody else in our group. My struggle with the formal form of the language continues to this day because I picked up so many bad habits and never actually studied. I'm much better with it today than I used to be, but there have been numerous instances in the past where I have used the informal language in situations where I should have used the formal language. And people give me a break all the time. Sometimes, they'll correct me, but they never scold me. No one has ever scolded me for that. These are things that stick in my mind. So if a young Korean is using informal language to me, maybe they're doing it because they're being rude. Who knows? Maybe they're doing it because they think I'm not going to care. Maybe they're doing it because they think I'm not going to understand the formal speaking as a foreigner. If you're in a company and you're a manager and you've got your subordinates should be speaking to you using the formal form. I think it's up to you to let them know, right? You let them know, hey, just because I'm a foreigner, don't expect me to be okay with the informal language. You set that from the beginning, then you can understand that anybody who's doing it is being rude. But I think unless you establish that, I don't think you can expect Koreans to treat you like a Korean, not out of any kind of racism or rudeness, but just out of the fact that you're not Korean, right? I have younger friends, and yeah, I call them friends because that's what they are in English. They're not my dongseng, my younger brothers or younger sisters. They're my friends. And they talk to me in Korean like friends, and I'm perfectly fine with it. But yeah, it doesn't bother me a bit, and I don't understand foreigners who are bothered by it. But again, that's their opinion, their business. I don't understand it, but that doesn't mean, it's not valid. To me, it's not the kind of thing that's worth worrying about. I don't need to spend energy feeling aggrieved or upset. Just let it go. Final question. After living so long in Korea, do I feel like a foreigner when I go back to the States? I've touched on this, I think, in different videos, not in these terms, but I've talked about how I feel like I belong here and how I don't belong in the States anymore. For example, I often say that I feel like a stranger in my hometown, but I think, yeah, saying I feel like a foreigner is probably actually, subtly different. Being a stranger just means you're not from around the area, right? You don't know the area, you're not from around there. But being a foreigner means you're not from the culture. You're from a completely different culture. So that is a very different way of expressing it. There was a time when I would have said no. I would have said, I feel like a stranger, but I don't feel like a foreigner. I'm still American. But as time has gone by, I kind of do feel like a foreigner, more and more, every time I go home. My last visit, it was just over 2 years ago, it was in spring of 2023. I went to a gas station, and these days, at least in the Southeast, I assume in other parts of America too, but these days, you don't find the old actual gas stations, the filling stations, like you used to have, with the gas pumps and the little garage where they could change your oil, change your tires or whatever. And the soda machine. My grandfather used to manage one of those places. My maternal grandfather. I used to love going there. But these days, everything is like a convenience store with gas pumps. So I went to one while I was visiting. I had a rental car, actually. Yeah, I was at a gas pump, and I went in to pay. It was a long line. Got up to the counter, said I wanted unleaded, went back out, and I looked at the pump, and they had all these different colors, and all of them were different varieties of unleaded. I don't know what's what. So I grabbed one and tried it, and it didn't work. And I went back inside, and I said, hey, I can't use the unleaded pump, it won't work. And she's asking me, which one did you use? I told her the color, and she's like, oh, you didn't pay for that one. You got this other unleaded. I'm like, okay. I mean, in my day, we had regular unleaded and premium unleaded, right? Now there's like 5 different varieties. And so I remember when she said that, I made this little, what I thought was a joke. And I was like, oh, there's a difference. And everybody standing in the line looked at me like I was a complete idiot. And I think that is one moment where I didn't just feel like a stranger, I actually felt like a foreigner. But yeah, every time I go home, I find things about my hometown, about America, that are further and further away from what I knew in my time there. And that very much does make me feel like a foreigner. It's a nice little area. Good breeze coming in. That's Naksan Park, right up there, the City Wall Trail. I've brought you here before, just not to this point. When I took you to that old military administrative building that was down on the other side of these trees here, a little valley down there. Ah, but this is nice. All right, that's all I've got for you today. If you have a question, send it to me, Q&A@mikefromkorea.com. I'll be happy to answer it in email, and I may pull it out again for a future Q&A video. I don't expect to do another Q&A video until next year probably, so I've got time to collect a lot of questions. If you leave a question in a comment, I will probably look at that and note it. If it strikes my interest, then I may end up using it in a video somewhere down the road. So I am going to get back to my errands, and I'll leave you to whatever it is you're doing. Thanks for coming along with me today. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.